All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks in tonight's video. But before we get into the draft talk, which, by the way, I think they had a really good, solid draft. Pick number 16 in the first round, Byron Murphy, the second defensive tackle out of Texas. You just got one of, if not the best defensive player in the entire draft. We're going to talk about him. You got a day one starter in round 3 at pick 81 in Christian Haynes, a guard out of UConn. Right there, fills in perfectly at the right guard spot. And then they got a really nice, not like a immediate impact day one starter in Tyrese Knight, but I absolutely love the Tyrese Knight acquisition that we'll talk about later on in the draft. We have to keep in mind with Seattle, this is a team that once again went 9-8, but defensive inconsistencies for yet another season and offensive line struggles specifically at the center position. This is going to be a more efficient, more improved Seattle Seahawks team this upcoming season. And just the fact that they went 9-8, this is a team that started really hot again, 6-3 to start the season. The fact that they're 9-8 and they just get glossed over. Like, people don't even bat an eye when you're talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Mike Macdonald is the perfect head coach to rebuild this defensive culture and the defensive unit because, I look at this defense: Leonard Williams, Jerron Reed, Boye Mafe, Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson, 2 new linebacker acquisitions. Nwosu was injured for most of the last season. Devon Witherspoon, Devin had a phenomenal rookie season. There's so much talent on the defensive side of things that there's just no reason you should be ranked in the bottom 5 in pretty much every single defensive category because there's so many playmakers and there's so many dogs on the defensive side. So that's why you bring in Mike Macdonald, who's going to implement a new scheme, implement a new culture, and you're getting back to the basics on the defensive side of things. So welcome back to the channel. It's been way too long since we've talked Seattle Seahawks, so hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL videos. Seahawks fans, missed you guys, love covering this team. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So you got an absolute freak, absolute beast of nature, round 1, pick 16. Guys, you got to win in the trenches, and we're about to get into some unideal Seattle Seahawks rush defensive statistics, but the defensive trenches have just been so inconsistent in the last 2 seasons. This past year, the year before it, where you made the playoffs and lost to San Francisco, the whole issue has been defensively. I know Geno Smith's getting a little bit older, and the quarterback future, even though Geno Smith's 100% going to be the starter, I know the QB future is a little bit uncertain. I would have loved if they snagged Michael Penix at some point, but I would much rather have Byron Murphy on this team because he's going to make a day one impact. So he led the country last season in pressure rate among defensive tackles at 12.7%. And he also had 5 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss in 14 games. He's going to be an immediate beast, not only pressuring the QB, but against the run. And as we know, that's been a huge issue for the Seattle Seahawks, allowing the most rushing yards in the NFL in the last 2 seasons. So you've got a new scheme, and you've got a full season of Leonard Williams, and now you've got Byron Murphy to team up with him. Mike Macdonald is definitely licking his chops, especially with rush defense. And one comment he said within the last week or so since the draft has ended is he loves the defensive versatility, especially on the line. So you had Jerron Reed back for last season. You picked up Leonard Williams around the trade deadline, Byron Murphy now, and Jermont Jones. I could make a whole video on Jermont Jones. Very underwhelming season last year. At this time last year, Jermont Jones was like an A+ move, like a huge acquisition for that defense. They moved him around. They played him at DT. They moved him to the edge where he got a little bit better. But I think most of it came down to they did not know what they were doing defensively, and they especially did not know how to help out Jermont Jones, which is just crazy. So it's absurd to even think he's kind of on this make or break year because of his contract. But I do think the addition of Byron Murphy, Jerron Reed, Leonard Williams, Jermont Jones, I really think that Byron Murphy is going to have this trickle down effect for the rest of your defense, because even though he's a rookie, pick 16, he's going to be a day one impact player. So love the move. Absolute A+. I know they wanted some help on the offensive line, but that's where you got round 3, pick 81, Christian Haynes, a guard out of UConn. He's going to fill in immediately at right guard unless Anthony Bradford can give him a run for his money. We talk about the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Their sack statistics were not bad, but if you watch the film, if you watched the games, if you're a Seahawks fan, you know what I'm talking about. Geno Smith, it felt like it was running for his life so much. And that really sucks because you've got great tackles. You've got a really good left tackle. You got a good right tackle. And you got Olu, who's going to play and start a full season at center, who you snagged in last year's draft out of Michigan. So you revamped your center spot, and now you've got a new right guard, 4-year starter, 2-time team captain. He's got a ton of experience at right guard. He made all 49 of his college starts at right guard. And keep in mind, you had no second-round pick, and you had just one third-rounder. So it was kind of up in the air if they were going to be able to fix that right guard spot in day 3 of the draft. And that's exactly, or day 2 of the draft. And that's exactly what they did in the 3rd round. So according to ESPN stats and information, Hazel allowed 5 sacks in his first season as a starter, but that was back in 2019. He then allowed just 1 sack and nearly 1,200 pass blocks over the last 3 seasons, gave up 0 in the last 2. He surrendered only 5 pressures in 729 pass blocks over the last 2 seasons. He spent 6 years technically at UConn, redshirted in 2018, and then COVID canceled 2020, so he just turned 24. Older, much older than a typical rookie, but I'm telling you, he's going to beat out Anthony Bradford, rightfully so, and he's going to be a day 1 right guard starter for the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. So I like it. Offense and defense, your first 2 picks, rebuilding, improving your trenches, both offensively and defensively. Love the move. Now, round 4, that's all we got time for in today's video. Round 4, number 118, Tyrese Knight, linebacker out of UTEP. 4-year starter, transferred from JUCO, 388 tackles since the start of the 2020 season. That's tied for 3rd most in the FBS in that span. Last season, 24 run stops, which is a tackle at or behind the line of scrimmage on a designed rush. 24 run stops, that was tied for 4th most in the FBS. So keep in mind, you picked up 2 new guys on 1-year deals to revamp your linebacker room after you lost guys like Bobby Wagner, Jerome Baker from Miami, and Tyrell Dodson from Buffalo. But once again, they're both on 1-year contracts. So watch out for Tyrese Knight long-term at that linebacker spot. Love the move. The dude loves to freaking hit. Reminds me very similarly of Devin Witherspoon, last year's first-round pick. And we also can't forget about JSN, another first-round pick. So, I look at your offense. I think you've got a really solidified offensive line now. You've got Noah Fant at the tight end spot. And one quick thing to mention, Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet, the Seattle Seahawks were the 4th worst rushing offense in the league last year. And with guys like Zach Charbonnet, who had a great rookie season, and Kenneth Walker III, who's still very young, that's just unacceptable. And I think a lot of it came down to the offensive line, especially the center spot, was just not getting the job done. You still got DK, you still got Lockett, you got JSN coming off a great rookie season. Offensively, you got a squad to win 10 games. And if Mike McDonald can get this defense figured out relatively quickly because of all the talent on your defensive side, especially your defensive front now with Byron Murphy, I think we're looking at a 10-win Seattle Seahawks team, and they're just flying under the radar. So thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL videos. If you guys want more Seahawks content, let me know down below, but give me a draft grade for Seattle in the comments. Peace.